Hi, I'm Timothy Mitchell with Mimaki USA, and I'm here in Dallas with my friend Khalid at Reece Supply. And we have been discussing our printer that we have behind us, which is a Mimaki UCJV300, the 10 reasons why we feel you should seriously consider not only UV LED technology, but particularly Mimaki's roll-to-roll printers, and particularly this roll-to-roll printer. Now, we've gone through 9 reasons. We made 9 separate little videos, and we're on number 10. And number 10 is one that it's a little bit connected to number 3. So number 3 was our assertion that it has the broadest selection of applications in the industry, which is true, and that it's probably easier to discuss what it doesn't do well versus listing all that it does. Let's just assume it does those things, and there's a few things it doesn't do as well. One of the things that people frequently say is one of the things it doesn't do is what?
I thought, even when I started, that UV printers can't wrap cars, can't wrap vehicles.
Can't wrap a vehicle. And you know what? I think that's the conversation we should have to close, because there's one of the things that people frequently say about UV LED printers is, hey, I can't use that for vehicles. And I think that's completely and utterly false. And I know it's false because we have a whole bunch of our customers who are doing it. We sell a whole bunch of ink devoted to doing it. We sell a whole bunch of media, you certainly do, that's devoted to doing it. And we have a whole bunch of case studies. So obviously, people are using this printer and similar roll-to-roll LED UV printers from Mimaki to do all kinds of vehicle work and buses and things outside. So I think it's time maybe we go over that and look at the ways. So first I would ask you, there seems to be different classes, of like types of wraps based upon the complexity and the demands. So just like we looked at all the things it can't do as, the few things it can't do as the basis for applications, I think we should look at wraps the same way and say, what is the category of wraps that this printer cannot do that you probably would be better suited for a different ink technology?
It'll be a shorter list.
It'll be a much shorter list, right? Because all the things that it can print outdoor on vehicles of all types, and vehicles a broad term, right? That's everything from like snowmobiles to motorcycles to buses to tractor trailer trucks to delivery vans to customized, Volkswagen, cars. It's just everything under the sun.
It's massive.
Huge. Here's what I would argue. The things that you're going to struggle with if you try to use this UV printer would be something like, imagine a very contoured motorcycle tank where you're going to use your heat gun, or a lot of the installers still prefer the old school propane torch. Is they're going to heat it and they're going to stretch that, and there's a lot of tight contours. It has to look exactly like glass. The quality is going to be right there like you're reading a glossy magazine, and everything has to fit and wrap around that really tight. You might be able to pull it off as a good installer with a UV gel or UV LED, but I think any of the UV technologies is going to be a little inferior to, for example, Mimaki's new CJV300 solvent printer, 8 color, would be the perfect printer for that application. But that's a small segment, I mean, think about all the other segments you have out there. Like, name a few that are like probably even much bigger for customers.
We have customers that do fleet vehicles that will wrap, partial vehicles. We have customers that will be wrapping vans and panels and things of that nature. And what we recommend is calling into Reece Supply and making sure that we have experts here that can get you the right media, the right products, and the right printer to get your media on that vehicle.
Absolutely. One of the things just right out of the gate, outdoor color fastness, which we often call durability, with these UV printers is excellent. It's going to be outside in the sun. That is no issue whatsoever. We have the proven durability for outdoor color fastness to make sure it isn't going to fade on you. Okay, the inks are solid, they're locked in. That's not a concern. The laminate often needs to be slightly different than what you would use for, say, eco-solvent. So the laminate I might use on a CJV300 Mimaki EcoSolvent printer, I would use a different laminate if I were using the UV LED printer like the 300 behind me. It's a slightly different ink technology and it lays on the media a little differently. So I'm going to choose a laminate that is specific for UV, and that's, I think, one of the things that people often do wrong is they look at laminate as a universal thing. Laminate is not a universal thing. There are different types of laminates. They work with different type of ink technologies and have different rates. It'll still stick. It'll still look okay, but you can do better. And I know Reece sells very specific brands that would address this issue, and you guys would know what to recommend to the customer.
You can call in. We have experts that deal directly in media. They know exactly what to do with what products that you're using. You tell them what application you have, what kind of business you have, what kind of printer you're running, what kind of inks you're using, and we'll come up with a perfect formula for your business.
Excellent. So let me give you a couple categories and you tell me if you think this would work. So I have a big old Ford F-150 truck and I put decals on it. It has actually an old carbon fiber wrap on it. Don't get a white carbon fiber wrap, folks, unless you want a lot of, it's a lot of work. But it you know, the paint's perfect still, and I put stickers on top of it, decals on it. And I would say that if I were to print with here, I could do hood, doors, everything else on that truck all day long with UV LED, and they would look great and last a long time, and everyone would be happy. Is that fair to say?
I would say so, along with vans, things with big panels, anything that, like you said, the truck, the hood, things of that nature.
I would say also very probably really most of your fleets, so your semi-trucks, your trailers, a lot of buses, things like that, you could do that and is actively being done with LED UV Mimaki ink sets all the time. I mean, they're everywhere and people think, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, of course you can do that.
We have vehicles on the road that have been printed by our customers that use this particular printer.
Now, we have two sets of ink. I would probably recommend the 170 series, which seems for almost all purposes to be excellent for almost all applications. And then my preference would be to use the 200 series, which is a little more opaque and bonds a little differently for the white ink. That is my preference. And I think Reece Supply tends to gravitate towards that way too.
We do, but we are willing to customize any of the Mimaki series to your business's varied needs.
Right, that's why you call, and that's why you have an expert like Reece Supply and such a great partner of ours is you tell them what you want to do and they will look at our Mimaki ink portfolio and say, this is the best configuration for you for your ink set based upon what you want to accomplish. And that's one of the reasons you always go with such a good partner like Reece, because they know their business.
And the technology is behind Mimaki. We love our partnership here. We love their products and we stand behind that.
Okay. So then even as we continue on, I would say that most partial wraps or not incredibly challenging wraps are going to be fine with LED UV. They're going to be great. You can definitely use this printer for that application. Some people who do vehicle wraps professionally might prefer an EcoSolvent as like an absolute category, but I think those same people could take prints from this printer using 170 series inks and 200 white and be very impressed with what they can do. Would they say, hey, I prefer the solvent? Yeah, that's fair. But are you able to do it with the LED UV as a single standalone printer? My answer is, other than some very complicated wrap requirements and very challenging types of contour curves, my answer would be, yeah, you can do that.
I would say most of our customers will fall in that. Not like I would say 90% would be okay with having the prints come off of here and then going along and doing vehicle stickers as well, along with other applications.
Because see, I think what most people find is you're not actually buying a printer to do one thing like vehicle wraps.
Correct.
Like if you came to me and said, Tim, I want to do vehicle wraps, that's all I do. I'm like, hey, I got a couple of great printers and they're called Mimaki EcoSolvents and one's the 330 and one's the new 200 and I love them both. And do you want 4-color or an 8-color gamut? Okay, I have that printer. But if somebody says, I want to do this and this and this and all these other things, and then yes, I occasionally do this on vehicles, I'm like, all day long, LED UV. You're good to go. Because the type of level you're going to be doing for all these vehicles, this printer will handle that perfectly. It's going to have great outdoor durability. There's a compatible laminate system that'll work with the type of vinyl you want, and you don't need to worry that, hey, I can't do any of that business. I'm going to have to get another printer. That's not true.
If you're curious about what your business looks like with a Mimaki printer, please call us at Reece Supply and talk to one of our experts.
Yeah, and you know what? Better thing, reach out to them and say, hey, I'd like to have a sample. We're going to put it on something. And, proof is in the pudding sometimes. There's a demonstration ability to show you that, yeah, you in fact can do this.
We love to tell people, bring your products in here and print on them.
No better way to prove it.
That's right.
All right, thank you very much. So that's our 10 reasons why you should consider seriously looking at the UCJV300 by Mimaki and purchase from Reece Supply, because Reece knows what they're doing.